Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This video is pretty much a request video. Kelvin Gastelum versus Cannonier. Let's not waste any time and get into this fun matchup. Okay, so first let's start with Cannonier. Some of his stats: 37 years old, 5'11", really freaky reach for middleweight, 77.5 inches, 13 wins, 5 losses. Cannonier is an orthodox striker. Right now he's number 3 in the UFC middleweight rankings. He lost his last fight to Robert Whittaker, no shame in that. That was via unanimous decision. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak, stopping all 3 of his opponents. Cannonier has fought all the way up to heavyweight, and now of course he fights at middleweight. He's heavy-handed. The guy hits like a truck. He strikes at angles coming in, head off center line, which is great defensively. One of his go-to combinations is a jab with his left, then overhand with the right while sliding to the left. Gets him out of the way of counters and return fire while cracking you with a hard shot at an off angle. Really good uppercuts, does amazing clinch work, and he just does well in those close positions. He manages to generate a lot of force and at close range with hooks and uppercuts. Very dangerous in the clinch position. Heavy low kicks, heavy kicks in general. Absolutely vicious ground and pound. You simply do not want to be underneath Cannonier. His elbows will send you to the shadow realm. From what I've seen, decent defensive wrestling, okay takedowns, kind of brutes them. Jared's an aggressive fighter, always comes forward, goes for the finish. Moving on to Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum, 29 years old, 5'9", 71.5 inch reach. He is a southpaw. Mixed martial arts record: 16 wins, 7 losses, 1 no contest. Right now Gastelum is ranked number 9 in the UFC middleweight rankings. He also lost himself to Robert Whittaker, also via unanimous decision, same as Cannonier. So kind of an interesting fight. He won his last fight against Ian Heinisch, but before that dropped 3 in a row. Hasn't been too good for Kelvin Gastelum lately, but he did go the distance with Robert Whittaker, and that says a lot, because Robert Whittaker is a killer. Gastelum, boxing-based style, definitely. Southpaw, which poses a lot of issues typically for orthodox strikers. Heavy-handed KO power. Even though he has a boxing-centric style, he does throw low kicks. I think more so to set up his hands and give his opponents something to think about. Not the greatest head movement in my opinion. He relies a little bit too much on his ability to take a shot, which he can really well. Fluid striker, just like a really nice fluidity to his boxing and movement. You can tell he is in his element while striking and very comfortable there. Fast hands when he does let them go and he isn't hesitant. Low center of gravity, shorter middleweight, and he has a wrestling background, so it's difficult typically to take him down. Kelvin is also a guy who chases the finish. Alright guys, so the matchup. How could this fight possibly play out in that cage? Well, I'm going to say I think I favor Kelvin Gastelum's stand-up over Cannonier's. I think Kelvin is like more fluid. There's like a slickness to his striking. Cannonier to me is more explosive. I think he actually hits harder. Everything Cannonier hits you with seems to hurt you. That goes for punches and kicks. Cannonier may offer more on the feet as far as like variety, but I think Kelvin Gastelum's clean boxing really trumps Cannonier's boxing. There's just like this technical, fluid crispness to Kelvin Gastelum's boxing that you don't really see in Cannonier. Cannonier to me is more of like a bruiser. Not a whole lot of setup with him. Just chases you down with like barrages of shots. Not afraid to go wide with wide hooks, overhand rights, wing things and kind of go for it. And against like technical strikers that throw good straight punches like Gastelum, I think it'll be a little tricky for Cannonier with his looping shots. The clinch position in close range would be interesting because Kelvin does really good work in the close range clinch position himself. He himself has good uppercuts. He has short arms, so he could generate good power in those close positions. I think Cannonier is a little bit more dangerous though. That guy just hits hard. As far as grappling, I do think Kelvin Gastelum could get Cannonier to the mat. I'm going to give the wrestling to Gastelum, but not by like a huge margin, because Cannonier is really strong and he does have some defensive wrestling ability. So I don't necessarily think it's going to be easy for Gastelum to get him to the mat, but again, I think he can with some effort. Path to victory for either. I mean, I feel like Gastelum's gonna have to take the Robert Whitaker blueprint. Stick and move, hit Cannonier with straight shots, get out of there, don't get countered with those looping hooks and overhands, avoid the clinch position, up close combat, stay out of range as much as possible, use that speed and slick movement to strike, then slip and get out of there. But here's the problem for Gastelum. He tends to kind of just stand there and not really move his head much. And that might be bad for him with a guy like Cannonier, who hits like a truck. Because it doesn't take much with that guy. He hits you a couple of times with hard shots, he could change the fight. Or just like knock you out. Another hurdle for Kelvin Gastelum is going to be Jared Cannonier's reach. But that would apply a little bit more if Cannonier threw more straight punches. Which I think he's more of like a hook and overhand guy. So the reach is not going to be as useful for him. I think Gastelum could win a decision by again sticking and moving, sticking with straight shots. Now for Jared Cannonier, Cannonier is going to have to cut Gastelum off somehow, get his back against the cage, and when he tries to move laterally, cut him off with those looping lefts or rights. I think getting an up close and personal on Gastelum is going to be beneficial for Cannonier. He's really good at grabbing guys behind the head and just blasting them with uppercuts. That's a really good range for him. Not to mention, if he has his hands on Gastelum, maybe he can get a takedown. And we all know if Jared Cannonier maintains top position, he's going to smash you. But I think Gastelum has good enough takedown defense. I don't really see him on his back. The low kicks for Cannonier are going to be great. From what I've seen, I think they're pretty effective against Kelvin Gastelum. Whitaker kind of stifled Gastelum by throwing just like a variety of things at him. It kind of just like overloaded Kelvin. So Cannonier can apply the same strategy, just mix things up. Absolutely don't have a boxing match with Kelvin. It's a mixed martial arts fight. Throw those kicks, throw all those punches, throw those elbows, mix in a knee here and there. It's going to have Kelvin thinking, and if he's thinking, he's hesitant, and with his lack of head movement, maybe you can land some hard shots if you're Jared Cannonier. So ultimately, guys, who do I think is going to win this fight? It's kind of tough to say. Kelvin recently has been like kind of on a slump, very spotty. Cannonier's been doing way better in recent fights. I think it really depends which Kelvin Gastelum shows up. If he shows up at his best, I think he takes this fight. But he has to be confident in himself and his abilities. And if he isn't, Jared Cannonier is going to smash him. Simple as that. With all that being said, I think I'm going to go with my gut on this one. I think Kelvin gets it done. I don't think he finishes Cannonier, but I can see him winning a decision. He has a head hard as a rock. I think he could weather any storm that Cannonier brings. And if he uses that slick boxing, I think he could beat Cannonier to the punch, especially with straights, and tag Jared quite a bit throughout the fight. I honestly don't think these guys finish each other. They're both very tough. I see a decision win for either. I'm going with Kelvin Gastelum. So that's it, guys. Those are my thoughts on this fight. Let's see what happens. Let's see who wins. Let me know in the comment section, who are you picking and why? If you enjoy the content and this is your first time at the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button, like and share. It's helping the channel grow. Appreciate you guys. You're the best. May the best man win in this one, and we'll come back and talk about the fight after it's done. Until then, take care, guys.